Welcome to this talk on the work of the Child Abuse Department at Switolski's. I'm here with Amy Clowrey.
Hi David.
She's going to be answering some of my questions, and today I'm going to be asking Amy about what lawyers have to offer child abuse survivors. Amy, can you tell me, what do lawyers have to offer child abuse survivors?
Well, firstly, I think it's important that the lawyer that you choose is a listening ear, somebody that you feel you can trust and open up to. There may be several different ways that we can assist survivors of abuse, such as signposting ways to get support, accessing therapy, how to complain to the police. We can support clients through that process. We can also assist on advising how to take action against the council, the police, or other institutions such as the school or the church that may have failed you as a child and led to you suffering significant abuse. And it may be appropriate in some cases to make an application to the Criminal Injuries Compensation Application Authority. There are also an increasing number of schemes that we're able to assist with, such as the Lambeth Children's Home Address Scheme and the Meddings Detention Centre Scheme. It all depends on the facts of your individual case, but there are several ways that we can assist you obtain justice.
So Amy, you told me about the CICA scheme there. What does CICA stand for, first of all, and how does that scheme work?
Okay, so the CICA is the Criminal Injuries Compensation Authority, and that is a government scheme that's been set up to compensate blameless victims of violent crimes. Now, generally speaking, we would always ask you about a potential CICA application at the outset, because it might be worthwhile making an application at the same time as pursuing a civil claim, because if for whatever reason the civil claim isn't successful, we would then have the CICA claim to fall back on. But to be able to bring a CICA claim, it's really important that the survivor has reported the abuse to the police and let them investigate it and cooperate throughout the process. But we would always advise survivors to report the abuse to the police anyway, because it's important that perpetrators of violent crimes are off our streets.
Is the CICA scheme fairly simple?
Yeah, it is quite a simple process. However, it can be quite difficult for survivors to represent themselves because of the emotion that's involved with it. And we have lots of experience of handling these cases on behalf of clients. So, we'd be more than happy to take those cases on. The only difficulty with CICA cases is that the payments aren't as large as you would find in civil cases, and that is essentially because it's a government fund, so it's there to just help as a backstop where other options for justice aren't available.
You also mentioned schemes apart from the CICA scheme. Can you explain what they are, whether someone might be eligible, and basically how they operate, please?
So schemes are an alternative to litigation. They're much less adversarial, much friendlier and welcoming scheme for survivors. It's a much easier way to obtain justice because the authority or the institution involved has already accepted that they failed the children that were in their care. At the moment, there are a couple of schemes out there. So there's the Lambeth Children's Home Address Scheme, which is there to compensate survivors of abuse in the Lambeth Children's Homes when they were open. There's also the Meddings Detention Centre Scheme, which is there to compensate for abuse that youths that were in the detention centre suffered, physical and sexual abuse during their time there. There are also other schemes that are in the pipeline, and we're hoping that there is going to be a wider scheme that comes out in a few years as a result of the independent inquiry into child sexual abuse, but we don't have any more information on that at this stage.
So if I'm a person that wants to come to you as a lawyer to help me pursue justice, how long do you think it will take from start to finish?
The different avenues will take different periods of time. So if it's a scheme where the authority or the institution's already accepted that they've failed the survivor, then it will take much less time to reach a resolution. If we are having to pursue a civil claim and our opponent is being particularly difficult, it can take a number of years, so it can take up to 3 or 4 years sometimes, even longer. But we try, most of our cases tend to settle within a couple of years from the outset of us taking them on.
So a big question that needs to be asked is, if I'm a person that wants to come to you as a survivor of child abuse, will I have to go to court to give evidence? Will I be cross-examined by some barrister?
98% of our cases tend to settle outside of court, so they will settle without even having to issue court proceedings. If we do have to issue court proceedings, we normally settle those cases within the litigation process, but outside of the courtroom, which means that you wouldn't have to go to court. And even if we had to go to court, you don't always have to give evidence. In the event that you did have to give evidence, we'd support you throughout that, and would make sure that you felt comfortable in doing so on the day.
That's reassuring, thanks. And let's say I'm a person that wants to come to you for help with a child abuse claim, and I'm on benefits, and I get some money at the end of the case. Would I lose my benefits?
We get this question a lot, and that's because a lot of survivors of abuse have had significant mental health issues that have impacted their ability to work. It is sometimes debilitating being a survivor of abuse. The answer to your question is no, benefits will not be affected. There are ways that we can make sure that that doesn't happen. One of the ways is that we could set up a personal injury trust and put the money into the trust, which is then ring-fenced, and the benefits agency can't touch it. There is a small fee to do this, but we would make sure that that is set up, and then we can look at deducting the fee at the end so that you don't have to have anything out of pocket before you've received your damages.
Thank you, Amy, that's been really helpful. If you want more information, you can find it at www.switalskis.com and visit the Child Abuse Compensation section of the website. Thank you.